Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play a fingerstyle arrangement of Sad by XXXTENTACION. So let's get into it. So for this arrangement we are in standard tuning and you need to put a capo on the 3rd fret of your guitar. Also all the tabs for this lesson are available on my Patreon page. You can check out the link down below. So I've divided this song into a few different sections. We have the intro, the chorus, the verse, the pre-chorus and the bridge. So let's start with the intro. It sounds like this. So the first chord that we have is this one. It's actually an F major chord shape. You have the 1st fret of the low E string which you're playing with the thumb, the 2nd fret of the G string which you're playing with the middle finger, and the 1st fret of the B string which you're playing with the index finger. You also have the open high E string on top, so you're playing this. So the right hand you're plucking the low E string, G string, B string and the high E string, and you're playing that with a roll. Like that. After that the next chord sounds like this. So there you have the open low E string, the 2nd fret of the D string, the open G string and the 1st fret of the B string. So on the right hand you're plucking the low E string, D string, G string and the B string together. You're playing that with a roll. Like that. And then you have the 3rd chord, which is this one, where you have the open D string, the 2nd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the B string. You're playing that with a roll. Like that. So far you have this. And after that you have this part. So the last chord there is an E minor chord where you have the 2nd fret of the A string and the 2nd fret of the D string. So you're playing the open low E string and you're playing the 2nd fret of the D string and you're playing the open G string and the open B string. So the way you have to play it is like this. So you first start by plucking the whole chord together. You're plucking the low E string, D string, G string and the B string together. And then you're doing this, where you're playing only the bass note, the low E string first, and then you're plucking the rest of the 3 strings together. Like that. So from the start. So you just have to repeat this part once, so you'll get this. After that, the next part sounds like this. So we start off with this part. So there we start with an F major 7 chord which we played before. We play that with a roll again. And then we play this note on the 1st fret of the B string. After that we have this. So there we have the 1st fret of the B string which you're holding with the index finger, and we have the 1st fret of the high E string there. And on the right hand we are plucking the low E string which is open, the open G string, the B string and the high E string. You're playing that with a roll. And then you're pulling off from the high E string, the 1st fret there, to the open high E string. Like that. I'll do that one more time really slow. And then we play this note 2 times, which is the 3rd fret of the B string. So all together we get this. And then we have this part. So there we have this chord which we played before, where we have the open D string, the 2nd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the B string. You play that with a roll. You're playing the D string, G string and the B string. And after that you have this part. So right after you play the roll there, you play the open high E string. Like that. And then you do this. where you hammer on from the 1st fret to the 3rd fret. on the B string. And you do that 2 times. So you get this. So from the start we have this. And then we have this part. So there you have the same chord and you're playing this, where you're playing the first fret of the B string and then the open high E string. And then you have this part, where you're playing the bass note, which is the open low E string. And then you're playing the hammer on the first fret to the third fret of the B string. And then you're repeating that. So I'll play that part again really slow. So the entire part on this chord sounds like this. And if you play it from the start of this part, you have this. And then you just repeat. So that's the whole intro. If you play all of those parts together, you have this. After that you have the chorus, which sounds like this. So here we start off with an F major 7 chord, which is like this. So there we have the first fret of the low E string, which you're playing with the thumb, the second fret of the D string, the second fret of the G string, and the first fret of the B string. Like that. So the first part sounds like this. So there we start by playing this, where we're plucking the low E string and the B string together. Both of them we're playing the first frets. And then we play the G string, the second fret there. Like that. And then we have this. So right after we played this, we have this part, where you're playing the note on the second fret of the D string with the slap, and then you're pulling off to the open D string. Like that. And after we play the pull off, we bring this note back in and play it regularly with the right hand, and then we pull off again. Like that. I'll play that one more time really slow. And then we have this part. So there we just let go of this note. We now have the open low E string. And then we play this. So there we're plucking the open low E string and the second fret of the D string together. And then we're pulling off again to the open D string. And then we're doing it again, like that, and then we have this. So there again we ring the chord, we ring that note, the note on the second fret of the D string with the slap, and then we play the open low E string, like that. So the whole thing sounds like this. So if I play it from the start, one more time. And the next part is very similar to this part. It sounds like this. So you have a slight variation there. You have this. So you just have to play the B string twice there. And the rest of it is exactly the same as before. So if we play it all together from the start, you have this. And then you have this part. So there again it's almost the same, but you have this little change. So you start off the same way like the first time. And then you have this part. So there you play the pull off. And then you play the open low E string as the bass note. And then you play it together with the note on the second fret of the D string. And then you play the pull off there, and then you slap and ring the note, and then you play the bass note again. So I play the whole thing once really slow. It sounds like this. So if you play till this point from the start of the chorus, you have this. And then the last time you have this. So there you start off the same way like the first time. And then you have this part. So there you just have to hold the third fret of the A string, and the rest of the strings are open. So you start by playing this. So there you start by playing the A string and then the G string. The G string is open there. And then you play this. So there you play the A string and then you slap and ring the D string. And then you play the A string and then the D string. So you have this. So the whole thing sounds like this. I'll play that one more time really slow. And then you have this part. So you have the same idea here, but you just have to start from the open low E string. You start by playing the low E string and then the G string. And then you have this. It's the same thing that you played before. So the whole thing sounds like this. So if you play it all together from the start of the chorus, you have this. And you just have to repeat that part one more time. So the whole thing sounds like this, the whole chorus. After that we have the verse, which sounds like this. So there you have the F major 7 chord, the same one you started the intro with. You start by playing this. You start by playing the bass note first, and then you play the rest of the chord with a roll, the G, B and high E string. And then you have this, where you play the high E string and then the B string. And after that you have this part. So there you start by playing this chord with a roll, where you just have the first fret of the B string. You're playing the low E string, the open G string, the B string and the open high E string. And then you're hammering on onto the first fret of the high E string. And then you play the open high E string. And And then you have this part, where you do a pull off from the 3rd fret to the 1st fret on the B string, and then you play the note on the 1st fret again. So from the start so far we have this. I'll play it really slow. And after that we have this part. So there we change the chord to this, where we have the 2nd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the B string, and you start by playing this. So there you play the open D string first, and then you plug the G, B and high E string together, and then you slap and ring the chord, and then you play the note on the B string, the 1st fret there, like that. And after that you have this part which you played before. So you have this chord where you're holding the 1st fret of the B string there, and you're plucking the low E string, the G string, the B string and the high E string together. The low E string, G string and the high E string are open, and then you're hammering onto the 1st fret of the high E string, and then you play the open high E string, and then you do this. So you're slapping and ringing the chord, you're playing the 3rd fret there, and then you're pulling off and then you're playing the 1st fret again. And if you play it from the start, and after that you have this part. So there you have almost the same 4 chords again. You start by playing this. So there you start with the F major 7 chord. You start by playing the low E string, and then you're plucking the G, B and high E string, and then you're slapping and ringing the chord, and then you're playing the note on the 1st fret of the B string, and then you have this part again, which we just played before this, and after that you have this. So there you start off with this chord where you have the 2nd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the B string. You start by playing the open D string, and then you plug the G, B and high E string together, like that, and then you slap and ring the chord, and then you have this part. So right after you played this, there you add the 3rd fret of the high E string there, and you play just that note, and then you have this part. So there you plug the 1st fret of the high E string with the open low E string, and then you play the open high E string, and then you pull off from the 3rd fret to the 1st fret on the B string. So that's the whole verse. I'll play it once slowly. It sounds like this. And after that we have the pre-chorus, which sounds like this. So you start off the same way. You have the same F major 7 chord, and you play this, where you play the bass note and then you play a roll on the rest of the 3 strings. And then you have this part, where you're playing the open high E string, and then you're adding the 3rd fret of the B string and playing that, like that. And then you have this, which is the exact same idea as before. You have this chord now where you have the 1st fret of the B string, where all the rest of the strings are open. So there again you have this chord where you have the second fret of the G string and the first fret of the B string. You play this. You start by playing the open D string, and then you play a roll on the G, B and high E string, and then you play the first fret of the B string, and then you play this part, which is exactly the same as before. You play a roll, and then you hammer on the first fret of the high E string, and then you play the third fret of the B string and you pull off, and then you play this note again. So I'll play that from the start. You have this. And after that you have the exact same 4 chords again, but you just have to add the percussive slap. So I'll play that again really slow. It sounds like this. So I'll play the whole pre-chorus once really slow. It sounds like this. After this we have the bridge, which sounds like this. So we start off the same way. We play the same thing that we played in the intro. We start with the same 4 chords. And we repeat that one more time. And after that we have this. So we start by playing this. So there we hammer on from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret of the A string. And then we move this finger to the 2nd fret of the D string and we play that note. But we have to play that very quickly, like that. I'll do that one more time really slow. And after that we have this. And your fingers are already in position for this. It's a C major chord. We have the 3rd fret of the A string, the 2nd fret of the D string and the open G string. So far we have this, and then we have this part. So there we start by playing the note on the 3rd fret of the D string, and then you pull off to the 2nd fret, and then you pull off to the open D string. Like that. And after that we just do this part, which is the same thing that we play on the E minor chord, where we plug the chord first, plug the whole chord, and then we play just the bass note, and then we plug the rest of the 3 strings. So all together the whole thing sounds like this. And after that it repeats, but the ending is a little different. It sounds like this. So there the first 2 bits are the same. And then we have this part. So there we play the 2nd fret of the G string and the 2nd fret of the D string. And then you pull off from the 2nd fret of the D string to the open D string. Like that. I'll do that one more time really slow. And then in the end we just play this again on the E minor chord. So the whole thing slowly sounds like this. And if you want to play the entire part, it sounds like this. So that's the whole bridge part. I'll play it once, it sounds like this. So now that we know all the different sections in this song, let's discuss the song structure. So we start with the intro, then we have the chorus, after that we have the verse, and then we have the pre-chorus. After that we have the chorus again, then the bridge, and then the chorus again. So that's the whole song. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helped. All the tabs for this lesson are available on my Patreon page. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, then subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have any questions or requests for song tutorials, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.